All right, get ready, because today we're going deep on something pretty unusual. Wooden satellites.
Yeah, you heard that right. Satellites made of wood.
When I first heard about this, I thought it was like some kind of joke or something.
Yeah, it sounds pretty wild,
Ah.
but it's a real thing.
So is this like a PR stunt, or is there actually some science behind this whole wooden satellite idea?
It's definitely not a stunt. It's a serious research project.
Okay, so what's the deal? Who's behind this, and why are they building satellites out of wood?
So this is the LignoSat mission, and it was launched by JAXA.
JAXA.
Yeah, the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, back in December 2024.
Okay, so they're really serious about this.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Mm.
They're looking into whether wood can be a sustainable material for building satellites, with all the concerns about space debris and the environmental impact of space exploration.
So you're saying that instead of having all this metal junk floating around up there,
Right.
we could have satellites that just eventually...
That'd be great.
Okay, so how does a wooden satellite actually work? What's it made of, and how do they even launch the thing?
Well, LignoSat was sent up to the International Space Station,
Okay.
and then it was deployed from there, along with a bunch of other CubeSats.
So it's a CubeSat.
Yeah.
I'm picturing like a little wooden box floating around in space.
It is pretty small.
Yeah.
Actually, CubeSats are about the size of a loaf of bread.
So what kind of wood are we talking about here? Did they just grab a piece of plywood from the hardware store?
Not quite. They actually tested a few different types of wood in space before they built the satellite.
Wait, they sent wood samples to space?
Yeah, they sent up different samples to the ISS to see how they would react to the harsh space environment.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Well, which wood made the cut?
They ended up going with honoki magnolia wood.
Honoki magnolia wood. Never heard of it.
It's a Japanese wood that's known for being strong and lightweight.
Okay. And how did they build the satellite? Did they use like nails or screws?
Nope. They used traditional Japanese joinery techniques.
Like woodworking?
Exactly.
Yeah.
No glue, no nails, just precise cuts that fit together perfectly.
That's amazing. I can't believe that something like that can hold up in space.
The specific joint they used is called a blind miter dovetail joint.
Wow, that sounds complicated.
It is. It takes a lot of skill and precision to do it right.
So they've got this little wooden CubeSat floating around up there. What exactly are they hoping to learn from this mission?
One of the main things they're looking at is how the wood reacts to radiation.
Okay, yeah, radiation is a big problem in space, right?
Right. It could damage materials over time.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to see how well wood holds up.
I imagine they're also looking at how it handles those extreme temperature swings in space.
Exactly. It can go from extremely hot in sunlight to incredibly cold in shadow.
So the wood needs to be able to withstand those rapid changes without warping or cracking.
Yeah, and there's another interesting thing they're investigating too.
Oh.
They're looking at whether the Earth's magnetic field can penetrate the wood.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, wood has its own magnetic properties, and those properties could interact with Earth's magnetic field in ways that we don't fully understand yet.
So they're worried that the magnetic field might interfere with the satellite's electronics?
It's a possibility. They need to figure out if it's something to be concerned about for future missions.
That's pretty wild. I never thought about wood having magnetic properties.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area of research. And this mission could help us learn a lot more about how wood interacts with the space environment on a fundamental level.
This is way more complex than I initially imagined.
Yeah, it's not just about sending a piece of wood up into space. It's about understanding the science behind it and figuring out if it's a viable material for future space exploration.
So what are some of the potential benefits of using wood for satellites? I mean, besides the sustainability aspect.
Well, wood is much lighter than traditional materials like aluminum or titanium.
Okay, so that would mean lighter satellites.
Exactly. And lighter satellites mean cheaper launches, which is a big deal.
And I guess it would also be easier to dispose of them once they're no longer operational.
Right. They could just burn up in the atmosphere without leaving behind a bunch of debris.
So it's a win-win situation. More sustainable and potentially more cost-effective.
Yeah, it's a very promising technology.
Yeah.
And the LignoSat mission is a big step forward in exploring those possibilities.
It's pretty inspiring to see scientists and engineers thinking outside the box and coming up with creative solutions like this.
Yeah, it gives me hope for the future of space exploration. I think we're on the cusp of some really exciting discoveries.
I can't wait to see what they come up with next.
Me too.
Okay, so we've heard about the science and the reasons behind LignoSat, but what about the bigger picture?
Yeah, we need to zoom out a bit. Look at this wooden satellite thing in the context of like the whole space industry.
Exactly. So why is this a big deal? Why should people care about a satellite made of wood?
Well, for one thing, it's a huge step towards making space exploration more sustainable.
So it's not just about like a cool science experiment.
Not at all. It's about finding ways to reduce our impact on space.
Yeah, we've all heard about the problem of space junk, right? All those satellites and rocket parts cluttering up Earth's orbit.
Exactly. And traditional satellites, they can stay up there for centuries.
That's a long time.
It is. So if we can start using materials like wood that naturally break down over time.
We could prevent a lot of that debris from building up.
Exactly. And that would be a huge win for the environment and for the future of space exploration.
It's pretty crazy to think about using something as simple as wood to solve such a complex problem.
I know, right? It kind of makes you rethink the whole idea of what a satellite can be.
So you're saying that in the future we might see entire fleets of wooden satellites soaring through space?
It's definitely a possibility, and it would be a pretty amazing sight to see.
Okay, so we've talked about the benefits, but I'm sure there are some challenges too, right? I mean, sending wood into space can't be all that easy.
Yeah, there are definitely some hurdles to overcome.
Like what? For example, how do they make sure that the wood doesn't just burn up in the atmosphere during launch?
Well, that's one of the things they're researching. They're looking at different types of wood that are naturally fire resistant.
Okay, so like a super strong wood that can withstand those intense temperatures.
Right. And they're also experimenting with different coatings and treatments that could protect the wood during launch and while it's in orbit.
So it's not just about finding the right wood, it's about making it space ready.
Exactly. It's a whole new field of material science.
And what about the durability of wood? I mean, can it really stand up to the harsh conditions of space?
That's another area of active research. They're looking at how wood is affected by things like radiation, extreme temperatures, and micrometeoroids.
Micrometeoroids, what are those?
They're basically tiny pieces of space debris that are constantly zipping around up there.
So like little bullets flying through space.
Yeah, and they can cause damage to satellites over time.
So the wood needs to be tough enough to withstand those impacts.
Yeah, and they're testing different ways to protect the wood, like using special coatings or reinforcing it with other materials.
So it's like building a suit of armor for the wood.
Exactly. You got to make sure it's ready for anything space can throw at it.
And what about like the environmental impact of using wood for satellites? I mean, it's great that it's biodegradable, but we don't want to create problems here on Earth by chopping down too many trees.
Right. That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
They're looking into ways to source the wood sustainably.
So like using wood from responsibly managed forests.
Exactly. And they're also exploring the use of alternative sources of wood, like bamboo.
Bamboo satellites. Now that's something I never thought I'd hear.
It's definitely an interesting idea. Bamboo is strong, lightweight, and grows incredibly fast.
So it could be a great option for sustainable space exploration.
Exactly. And it just shows you how creative people are getting when it comes to thinking about the future of space travel.
This whole conversation has really opened my eyes to the possibilities of wood as a space-age material.
It's pretty mind-blowing, right? Who would have thought that something as ancient as wood could be at the forefront of space technology?
It just goes to show that sometimes the best solutions are the ones that have been right in front of us all along.
Yeah. We just need to be open to new ways of seeing things.
Well, I, for one, am excited to see where this all leads. I think we're just scratching the surface of what's possible with wooden satellites.
I agree. And I can't wait to see what amazing discoveries await us in the years to come.
Okay, so we've covered like the why and the how of these wooden satellites.
Yeah.
But now I'm curious about like the what. Like what can we actually do with these things? What are the real world applications?
Well, there are some pretty amazing possibilities.
Like what? Give me an example.
For instance, they could be used to study Earth's climate and environment.
Wait, really? How would a wooden satellite help us understand climate change?
So wood is naturally sensitive to changes in temperature and humidity, right?
Yeah.
Well, what if we could use that sensitivity to create like super precise sensors?
The sensor's made of wood.
Yeah. Sensors that could monitor things like deforestation, track wildfires, or even detect subtle shifts in weather patterns.
So we could actually use the wood itself to gather data about our planet. That's wild.
Yeah, and because wooden satellites are so lightweight and cheap to build, we could launch a whole bunch of them.
Like a whole network of wooden sensors.
Exactly. We could have a global network constantly monitoring the health of our planet.
That would be incredible. We could get so much more data than we do now.
And that data could help us understand and address climate change in ways that we never thought possible.
This is blowing my mind. I never imagined that something as simple as wood could play such a vital role in protecting our planet.
It just goes to show that sometimes the most innovative solutions come from the most unexpected places.
Okay, so we've got climate monitoring. What else can we do with these wooden wonders?
Well, how about space-based solar power?
Space-based solar power. You mean like solar panels in space?
Yeah, but instead of the heavy, expensive materials they use now.
We could use wood.
Exactly. We could build these huge, lightweight solar arrays out of wood and beam clean energy back to Earth.
Are you serious? That sounds like something straight out of Star Trek.
I know, right? But it's an idea that's gaining traction, and it could be a game changer for our energy needs.
I mean, imagine harnessing the power of the sun from space. It would be like an unlimited source of clean energy.
It would be incredible. And it could help us finally break our dependence on fossil fuels.
I'm speechless. This is all so much bigger than I ever imagined.
Yeah, we're talking about a potential paradigm shift in how we think about space exploration and its impact on our lives.
I can't wait to see what other incredible applications they come up with for these wooden satellites.
Me too. Who knows what the future holds? Maybe one day we'll be living in wooden habitats on Mars.
Nah, that would be something.
It would be a truly remarkable achievement, a testament to human ingenuity and our connection to the natural world.
This whole deep dive has been an incredible journey. It's amazing to think that something as humble as wood could hold the key to a more sustainable and exciting future in space.
It's a reminder that we should never underestimate the power of nature and our ability to learn from it.
Well said. And to all our listeners out there, keep your minds open to new possibilities because the future of space exploration is looking brighter than ever.
And who knows, maybe one of you listening will be the one to come up with the next groundbreaking idea that changes the world.
That's all the time we have for today's deep dive, but keep those space dreams alive and we'll see you next time for another adventure into the unknown.